Good afternoon. I am Dr. Karthikeyani, working as an associate professor in ECE department, PSNA College of Engineering and Technology. So today we are going to have a lecture on digital communication. This lecture comprises of basics of digital communication, baseband and bandpass signal representations. So normally communication means transmission of information from source to destination, that is from one point to another point or from transmitter to receiver. So transmission of information means information may be of any forms, that may be of audio, video or image, or it may be a text. So we can transmit any form of information from source to destination. So if we see some basic examples of communication systems, the first basic example is radio. So in the case of radio, the source is microphone, and in the microphone the input signal what we are applying is audio signal, that is converted to a electrical signal, and it is transmitted through the space. So medium is space, and it reaches the destination. So the destination is our radio, which is present in all our homes. So in the destination, that is radio, will be having a speaker. So the speaker converts electrical signal to audio signal again. Another example is television. So in the television, source is video camera and microphone, because in the television we have to transmit both image and audio. So we need a video camera in order to capture the image, and we need a microphone in order to capture the audio signal. So both audio and video signals are converted into electrical signal, and it is transmitted through the space and it reaches the destination. So destination is our television, and in the television we will be having a picture tube and the speaker. So picture tube receives the video signal and speaker receives the audio signal. And the another example is telephone. So normally used telephones. So in the telephone again, the source is a microphone which converts the audio signal into a electrical signal, and the destination is speaker. Again it converts the electrical signal into audio signal, and the medium through which we are transmitting is through cables. So the cables which we are using is twisted pair cable or fiber optical cables. And the final one normally used is cellular mobile. Commonly used is cellular mobile. In the cellular mobile, source is again microphone. In the microphone again the audio signal is converted into electrical signal, and the destination is speaker, and the speaker electrical signal is converted into audio signal, and the medium through which we are transmitting is space. So the only difference between the telephone and cellular mobile is the medium through which we are transmitting the information. So in the case of telephone lines, the medium used is a twisted pair cable or fiber optical cables, whereas in cellular mobile the medium through which we are transmitting information is a space. So we can transmit information in any of two forms, that is depending upon the information source, we can transmit the information either in analog form or in a digital form. So the sources is of mainly two types. One is analog source and another one is a digital source. What is analog source? Analog source is continuous in time and continuous value. So examples of analog signals are audio signals and video signals, acoustic signals. We can say generally all physical signals are said to be analog signals. And digital signals, so digital signals we can say example we can take a binary file, because it consists of digital information represented in terms of zeros and ones. And similarly we can go for English text, that is represented in ASCII form. So in ASCII form each character is represented as 8 bits. So we can transmit any one of the information, either it may be in analog form or it may be in digital form. If we use digital information for transmitting information from one point to another point, then it is called as the digital communication. If we use analog source to transmit from source to destination, then we can say it is analog communication. So here we are going to see about details about the digital communication technique. So we know that all the available physical signals are only in analog form. So we have to convert all the analog signals into a digital signal, and then we can use a digital communication system to transmit the information. So these analog signals are converted into a digital signal by means of sampling and quantization technique. So why we are going for a digital communication system? So far previously we used only analog system, and nowadays we are using the digital communication system. So why we are using the digital communication system, and what are the advantages of digital communication system over analog communication system? The first point, we can say that it is cheaper and easier to design. So all the digital systems are very easy to design compared to analog system design. The digital system design is easier, and the manufacturing is using very large scale integration technology, that is VLSI technology, or by using the ULSI technology, ultra large scale integrated technology. So large amount of circuits can be manufactured at the same time. So it becomes cheaper. Digital manufacturing of digital circuits become cheaper compared to the analog circuits. And the second point is better noise immunity. Since we are using the binary information in the case of digital transmission system, that is ones and zeros, the noise immunity, that is accumulation of noise in binary information, is less compared to the analog signals, because analog signals carries information in the amplitude of the signal. So amplitude of the signal normally corrected by the noise when it is transmitted through the channel. So compared to the analog system, the digital system is having a better noise immunity. And the third point is we can achieve near capacity rates. So it is given by the scientist Shannons. That means the near capacity rates is nothing but the maximum rate that a channel can communicate. So each channel will be having a maximum rate it can communicate. That is, it is given in terms of the bits per second. Suppose a channel can transmit up to 100 kilobits per second, means we can maximum up to the rate we can transmit the information using the digital transmission system, whereas it is not possible in the case of analog communication system. And the next point is resistive to additive noise. So why it is said to be resistive to additive noise means, whereas in the case of analog communication system, while transmitting information from source to destination, in between the source and destination will be having number of amplifiers. So when it reaches the intermediate amplifiers, with that of the actual information, the noise signal is also amplified using the amplifier. So the noise is also amplified so that the actual information is corrected by the noise. So this is called as the additive noise. But whereas in the case of digital transmission system, in between the source and destination, instead of using the amplifier, we are using the regenerative circuits. So in the regenerative circuits, once it receives the information from the previous regenerative circuit, means it separates the information and amplifies the information separately, and then it retransmits the again. So there is no additive noise in the case of digital transmission system. And the next point is simple to measure and evaluate. So all is in the form of digital information, so you can easily measure and evaluate the digital signals. And the error probability of each digital system is already given, so we can easily compare the error performance of one digital system to that of the another digital system. And here the information is transmitted in terms of binary information. So the information, the errors which is occurring during the transmission can easily be detected and corrected, because we are transmitting only zeros and ones. So 1 may be changed to 0 or 0 may be changed to 1. So that changes in ones and zeros can be easily detected and corrected by using different types of decoding techniques. And it gives the improved accuracy and storage, because we are having a binary information, then we can go for a compression techniques, different form of compression techniques, so that the volume of the data can be reduced. So we can store large amount of information in a small space. So it gives the improved accuracy and storage. So because of these reasons, we are using a digital transmission systems compared to the analog transmission systems. So always we are transmitting information from source to destination through the channels. So what are the different types of channels we are having? So we are having, generally it is classified into two types, that is wired channel and wireless channels. So wired channels are normally used for short distance communication, whereas wireless channels are used for the long distance communication. Apart from this, we can have storage channels and underwater acoustic channel. So storage channel, what is the meaning of storage channel? Suppose if you are copying the information using the CD from one PC, and that CD can be used to in the another PC also. Now the information is stored in a storage device. So that storage device is said to be a storage channel. And if that we are using information passing from underwater, then the channel is said to be underwater acoustic channel. And normally the channel is said to be a random channel because we cannot determine the nature of the channel. It is indeterministic. So it is a random nature. So we cannot determine what is the noise present in the channel. So the noise which is present in the channel is said to be a random noise. So we know we are not having any way to predict the exact value of the noise here, and the noise which is present is the thermal noise, and it is modeled as the additive white Gaussian noise. So the performance of noise analysis is very important characters in the case of channel because there is a presence of random noise. So while recovering the information, we have to make account on this noise also. So normally in the transmitted signal, it is a deterministic function because we know what is the information we are transmitting. But when it is transmitted through the channel, there is a presence of Gaussian noise that also accumulated with the information. So deterministic function is added with the Gaussian noise, so it becomes the deterministic function plus Gaussian noise, so which cannot be determined. That is our received signal. So in the receiver part, we have to remove this Gaussian noise and we have to recover our original signal. And while transmitting information in any communication system, we have to concentrate on two main resources. So what are the two main resources are? One is spectrum, that is called as bandwidth. Another one is the transmitted power. So in the case of spectrum, so it is a bandwidth allocated for a particular application. For example, we can say that the 30 MHz to 300 MHz bandwidth is said to be very high frequency bandwidth, and it is the applications used in this bandwidth are marine applications, aeronautical applications, and commercial FM broadcasting. So within 30 MHz to 300 MHz, it should be shared by marine, aeronautical applications and commercial FM broadcasting. So it should be shared by all the users. So this spectrum is limited due to channel frequency reuse because each application is using the same bandwidth. So the same frequency is allocated to all the applications. So there will be a channel frequency reuse, and it is shared by different users. And similarly, if we take 300 MHz to 3 GHz ultra high frequency channel, it is used for commercial television, mobile communication, radar and navigational system, microwave and satellite radio system. So all this within the frequency bandwidth, it is applied to many applications. So all the applications are sharing the same bandwidth. So the spectrum is limited due to the channel frequency response and sharing by different users or applications. Another important resource what we have to consider is transmitted power. So in the transmitter as well as receiver, we are using a battery in order to transmit information. So battery can store only a particular limit of power. So we cannot increase the power beyond the battery level. So the transmitted power is very limited here. So why we have to increase the transmitted power means if we are increasing the transmitting power, automatically the receiver signal strength will be increased. Suppose if we want to increase the receiver signal strength or transmitting signal strength, we have to increase the power. So if we are increasing the power, the battery power should also be increased. So there should be a constraint using the battery. And if you are going on increasing the signal power, automatically there will be an interference between the signals from different transmitters. So the bandwidth or spectrum and the transmitted power are two main resources of the communication system. So based upon all these constraints, a digital communication system is given in this block diagram. So basically we are having a transmitter and receiver in a digital communication system. In the transmitter we are having an information source. So the information source gives either analog or it may be a digital. If it is analog, we have to go for sampling and quantization technique in order to convert into a digital form. If it is a direct digital information, no need for conversion. So when we are having a digital information, it is given to the source encoder. So source encoder gives the information depending upon the digital information what it is getting, and the source encoder reduces the number of bits from the digital information, and the source encoder output is given to the channel encoder. The main purpose of the channel encoder is to reduce the noise present in the channel. So in order to reduce the noise, it adds redundancy bits to the source encoded output. So the channel encoded output adds the redundancy bit to the source encoded output. So now that is given to the baseband processor or bandpass modulator. So here we are having two types. One is the baseband, another one is the bandpass. So what is baseband? In the baseband, the signals are present around zero frequencies. It is a low frequency signals. We can say that the audio signals are the low frequency signals. And bandpass signals is a high frequency signals. It is centered around a frequency FC, we can say, where FC is very greater than 0. And these signals, the channel encoded output is either baseband processed or it is bandpass modulated, and then it is transmitted through the channel. And through in the channel, the information is passed, and in the channel know that there is a presence of random noise, and that is also accumulated with the actual information, and the signal is received in the receiver side. In the receiver side, first we are having baseband decoder or bandpass demodulator. So if we use baseband processor in the transmitter section, we have to use baseband decoder in the receiver side. If we are using bandpass modulator in the transmitter side, we have to use bandpass demodulator in the receiver side. So now the demodulated signal is given to the channel decoder. The channel decoder removes the redundancy bit and it gives the data sequence to the source decoder. The source decoder again adds some information bits and it gives the information, that is converts the information sequence to the digital sequence, and it is given to the deformator. Deformator again gives the digital signal to the analog signal. So this is the basic digital communication system. So in this block, the main thing we are going to see in this lecture is baseband and bandpass, because any signal is present around zero frequency is said to be baseband signal, and any signal which is present around at FC, the centered frequency FC, which is very high frequencies, then it is said to be a bandpass. And normally, if we see what is a baseband, so baseband transmission is used for only low speed wire transmission, and here we are not using any modulation technique, and the transmission is through only baseband. And here you can go for a line coding technique for proper direction, and noise and interference won't be there, and filters are also employed in the case of baseband processing. So in the case of baseband processing, the signal may be represented like this. Suppose this is the spectrum of the transmitted signal. The spectrum is centered at 0, and this signal is said to be a baseband signal. So for example, for baseband signal is it is minus W2 plus W, and we can say audio signals. Audio signal. And what is a bandpass or passband modulator? So here the bandpass signal is a very high frequency signal. It is used for transmission of high speed digital data. So normally passband signal or bandpass signal are centered at frequency FC. So this is a bandpass or passband signals. So in the case of passband signals, we are using the modulation because it is used for long distance communication and high speed digital data. So modulation is employed, and here mapping the digital signal to high frequency analog signal is done. So that means the frequency is translated from lower frequencies to the higher frequencies. So normally for long distance communication, we are using the passband modulator or bandpass modulator. So now our lecture is mainly concentrating on how to represent baseband signal and bandpass signal and how they are related to each other. Because while we are using long distance communication, we have to convert the baseband signal to the bandpass signal and then we have to go for modulation. Then only it can be transmitted from one point to another point. While if you use a baseband signal as it is, then it can be used for short distance communication, that is for wired transmission only. So now here we are going to see how baseband and bandpass signals are related to one another. So now suppose we consider that information is present at the pass band, that is a bandpass signal. So we consider that the information is present at Fc is equal to 6 GHz. So now we have to transmit this information from one point to another point. So the processing of signals, high frequency signals, is very much costlier. It is very much costlier, and so we have to convert this bandpass signal into a baseband signal, and all the analysis is done in the baseband, and after the analysis done, again it is converted into a bandpass signal and then it is transmitted. So we consider that the bandpass signal, for example, the frequency spectrum of the bandpass signal is like this, and it is centered at frequency Fc. So here Fc we are taking, for example, it is centered around 6 GHz, very high frequency signal. So what is our aim is we have to convert this bandpass signal into a baseband signal, and all the processing is done in the baseband and then it is transmitted through the channel. So here first, in order to convert this signal, first it is multiplied with unit step function. So when it is multiplied with unit step function, we are getting a new function, that is s plus of f, that is nothing but s of f into u of f. So unit step function will be like this. So the unit step function will be having a magnitude of 1 when f is greater than 0. So when this unit step function is multiplied with the bandpass signal, we will be getting a new signal which is having a frequency spectrum only in the positive side. So we are getting a new frequency and spectrum that is centered around Fc only. We are not having information on minus Fc. So now s plus of f is equal to s of f and 2e of f. Here we are going to magnify the magnitude. So again it is multiplied with s of f into 2u of f. So now the magnitude, now here it is equal to 1. Now it is again converted into magnitude value, that is equal to 2. So now in the time domain it can be represented by taking the inverse Fourier transform. So we can write s plus of t is equal to inverse Fourier transform of s plus of f. So that is equal to inverse Fourier transform of 2u of f into s of f. So that is equal to inverse Fourier transform of 2u of f convolved with inverse Fourier transform of s of f. Because if we take the inverse Fourier transform, the frequency domain signal is converted to the time domain signal. The multiplication in frequency domain is represented at the convolution in the time domain. So we can write f inverse of 2u of f convolved with f inverse of s of f is nothing but s of t. So s plus of t, what we are having is inverse Fourier transform of 2u of f convolved with s of t. So inverse Fourier transform of u of f is equal to, already it is known, that is equal to del of t plus j by pi t. Inverse Fourier transform of 2 e of f is equal to del of t plus j pi t. So now s plus of t is equal to del of t plus j by pi t in convolved with s of t. So del of t convolved with s of t plus j by pi t convolved with s of t. Del of t, anything convolved with the inverse function gives the same function. So the result is s of t here, whereas here it is j by pi t convolved with s of t. So if we consider that 1 by pi t convolution with s of t is equal to escape of t, then the equation can be written as s of t plus j escape of t here. So s plus of t is equal to s of t plus j escape of t, where escape of t is equal to 1 by pi t convolved with s of t. And this escape of t is said to be a Hilbert transform function. It is a Hilbert transform function. So what is the property of Hilbert transform function? It is different from all other transformations because if we take a Fourier transform, when we use a Fourier transform, it converts the time domain to the frequency domain. One information which is present in time domain that can be converted into the frequency domain. Whereas if we use the Hilbert transform, it won't transform from one domain to another domain. The information will be present in the same domain, but it is in some another form, that's all. So if we say s of t here, the original signal what we are having, escape of t is the Hilbert transform function. So this s of t and escape of t both are equal in amplitude and the frequency, but they are different only in the phase value. So here the Hilbert transformation function escape of t what we are getting is 1 by pi t convolution with s of t. So we can write escape of t is equal to, so escape of t is equal to, by using the convolution equation we can write it is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity s of tau t minus tau d tau. So it is like a filter. So the response of the output of the filter is escape of t, which is having the response that is equal to 1 by pi t. So we can write the input of the filter is s of t and the response of the filter is said to be a 1 by pi t, and which produces the output escape of t. So where escape of t is nothing but s of t convolved with 1 by pi t. So this filter is said to be a Hilbert transformation filter. This filter is said to be a Hilbert transformation filter. Now this s plus of t is said to be pre-envelope of s of t. S plus of t is said to be pre-envelope of s of t. Because we can get the envelope of s of t from s plus of t. That is why it is called as the pre-envelope of s of t. So now this s of t is said to be a real signal. S of t is said to be a real and symmetric. And it is a band pass signal. It is a band pass signal, whereas s plus of t is a complex signal. So now what is our aim is to translate this s of t into a baseband signal. So how the translation is done here? So now we are going to translate. So now we are having our s plus of f centered at fc. our aim is to translate this s plus of f into baseband. So it should be translated here into baseband. So this is s L of f. So in order to translate this bandpass signal into a baseband signal, this s plus of f should be multiplied with some exponential function. So we can write SL of f is equal to s plus of f plus fc. So that means for fc signal it is translated. So for fc bandwidth it is translated towards origin. So f is equal to minus fc. So now in time domain it can be represented as SL of t is equal to s plus of t e power minus j 2 pi fct. So that is equal to s of t plus j s cap of t, and e power minus j 2 pi fct can be written as cos 2 pi fct minus j sin 2 pi fct. So that is equal to s of t cos 2 pi fct plus s of t minus s of t sin 2 pi fct plus j escape of t cos 2 pi fct and j square minus, so it becomes plus, so escape of t sin 2 pi fct. This is SL of t. So SL of t can be represented in terms of complex function. So it can be denoted as x of t plus j y of t. So SL of t is equal to x of t plus j y of t. That is equal to s of t cos 2 pi fct plus escape of t sin 2 pi fct minus j s of t sin 2 pi fct plus j escape of t cos 2 pi fct. So now equating the real part and imaginary part, we can write that x of t is equal to s of t cos 2 pi fct plus escape of t sin 2 pi fct, and y of t is equal to minus s of t sin 2 pi fct plus escape of t cos 2 pi fct. So now this x of t and y of t represents the components of the baseband signal. So x of t represents the real part and y of t represents the imaginary part. Both x of t and y of t can be estimated from s of t, that is the band pass signal, and the Hilbert transform of the band pass signal. And again we can reconstruct this s of t and escape of t from x of t and y of t. So we know that SL of t is equal to s plus of t e power minus j 2 pi fct. So from this we can write SL of t into e power j 2 pi fct is equal to s plus of t. So that means this exponential term is moved into the left hand side. So answer it can be e power plus j 2 pi fct. So now it can be written as SL of t into cos 2 pi fct plus j sin 2 pi fct, where SL of t is nothing but x of t plus j y of t. So it is multiplied with cos 2 pi fct plus j sin 2 pi fct. So that is equal to x of t cos 2 pi fct plus j x of t sin 2 pi fct plus j y of t cos 2 pi fct, and j into j square, so it will become minus y of t sin 2 pi fct. that is equal to the right hand side we are having s plus of t. S plus of t again we know that it is s of t plus j escape of t. So now we can write s of t is equal to, considering the real part, x of t cos 2 pi fct minus y of t sin 2 pi fct, and escape of t is nothing but y of x of t sin 2 pi fct plus y of t cos 2 pi fct. So now this s of t and escape of t is nothing but the components of the band pass signal, that is the original signal, that can be estimated from the baseband signal, which is having the components x of t and the y of t. So we can say that the band pass signal what we are having is s of t that can be down converted and we can have SL of t, that is our baseband signal. So all the processing is done in the baseband. Again the processing is over, the baseband signal is again converted into a band pass signal if you use the up conversion process. So now this band pass signal can be represented in terms of baseband and baseband signal can be represented in terms of band pass. So now we tell you in the transmitter we are going to transmit the information S of t. So now our transmitter can be designed in such a way that, so we are having a message signal. This message is centered at frequency fc, that is our band pass signal, high frequency signal. So now we are going to convert this high frequency signal, that is the band pass signal, into a baseband signal. So now we are going to use a low pass equivalent circuit. So we are going to use a low pass equivalent circuit which gives baseband signal SL of t. So now this SL of t can be again converted to S of t using the up conversion process by using the relations after all the processing is over, and then it is transmitted. So the transmitted signal is S of t. And whereas in the case of receiver side, again we are receiving the signal R of t, and this R of t is a band pass signal, so it should be down converted. So it is given to the down conversion unit. So it is frequency translated, and we are getting a baseband signal RL of t, and then processing is done at baseband. And from the after processing we will be getting our original message. So now this is our transmitter and receiver. By combining this transmitter and receiver we can get So now in the transmission system, the transmitter side we are having a message that is converted to a baseband signal by using the low pass equivalent circuit, and then it is up converted, transmitted, and it is transmitted through the channel. In the channel, the signal is transmitted, and the receiver side we are receiving R of T. R of T is a band pass signal. Again, it is converted to baseband by using the down conversion process, and we are getting RL of T. RL of T is processed, and we are getting the message signal. So here the channel what we are using is the band pass channel. So it is a very high frequency channel. It is a band pass channel, and the frequency response we can take is it is H of T of this channel. So now if we combine these three blocks together, and it is considered to be a channel, here a new channel, the input to this channel is SL of T, that is the baseband signal, and output from this channel is RL of T, again the baseband channel. So low frequency input and the low frequency output, and the channel is considered to be a low pass channel or baseband channel. So instead of using the band pass channel, here we can construct a new baseband channel so that it will become cheaper compared to the band pass channel. So in this channel, the low pass channel, we have to combine up conversion, channel and the down conversion process all together, and we have to represent the band pass channel in terms of the equivalent low pass channel. So now this band pass channel is represented as a low pass equivalent channel next. So next we are going to see how to construct a low pass channel from the band pass channel. So in order to construct a low pass channel from the band pass channel, we should know what is the appearance of the band pass waveform, and what is the energy of the band pass signal, and how the energy of the band pass signal is related to the baseband signal. If we are having these ideas, we can construct a low pass channel from the baseband channel. Now consider that a baseband band pass signal will be like this. Now this is the band pass signal, and the envelope of the signal is A of T, and the frequency which is present inside is Fc. Carrier frequency is Fc. So actually this envelope represents the baseband signal. This envelope represents the baseband signal, which is having the magnitude value A of T and the phase value power J theta of T, whereas inside the envelope we will be having a high frequency component, and the combination of this high frequency component and the baseband signal represents the baseband band pass signal. So the low pass equivalent signal is first represented as SL of T is nothing but A of T into e power j theta of T, where A of T represents the magnitude value and theta of T represents the phase value. And we know that SL of T is having the components of x of T and y of T, that is real part is x of T and imaginary part is y of T. So magnitude value can be calculated as A of T is equal to square root of x of T square plus y of T square, and the phase angle value can be calculated as theta of t is equal to tan inverse of y of t by x of t. So now our aim is to construct a band pass signal from the low pass signal or baseband signal. So we can write what is S of t, that is our band pass signal, that is nothing but the real part of SL of t into e power j 2 pi fct, because this band pass signal actually consists of a low pass equivalent signal and a frequency component of fc. So the band pass signal is nothing but the low pass equivalent signal and a frequency component that is equal to fc. So we can write it is equal to real part of SL of t is given by a of t e power j theta of t into e power j 2 pi fct. So real part of e power j theta of t plus cos 2 pi fct is nothing but cos 2 pi fct. So it is nothing but a of t cos 2 pi fct plus theta of t. It is S of t. So now we are having a band pass signal S of t is equal to a of t cos 2 pi fct plus theta of t. So now we can find out the energy of the signal, band pass signal. So the energy of the signal is given by energy of S of t is given by integral minus infinity to plus infinity S of t the whole square dt. Magnitude value we can take, that is nothing but integral minus infinity to plus infinity a of t cos 2 pi fct plus theta of t the whole square. So that is equal to integral minus into plus infinity a square of t cos square 2 pi fct plus theta of t dt. And we know that cos square theta is equal to 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2. So by using this trigonometric identity we can write it is equal to integral of minus into plus infinity a square of t into 1 plus cos 2 theta, so cos 4 pi fct plus 2 theta of t divided by 2. So that is equal to integral of minus infinity to plus infinity 1 by 2 a square of t dt, first one term, and another term we can have is integral minus into plus infinity 1 by 2 a square of t cos 4 pi fct plus 2 theta of t dt. So now if we consider the second term is cos 4 pi fct plus 2 theta of t. So it is cos 4 pi fct. So we consider this is a high frequency signal. So in this signal, suppose the signal is band pass signal is like this here. It is a high frequency signal, and if we take the integral value for one period, so for one period means, so if we take this integral value for one period, for one positive cycle and the negative cycle, for one period, the envelope is almost constant because it is a very high frequency and the magnitude almost remains constant for a single time period. So for the single time period, the positive negative half cycle is having the same magnitude value, and so the integral value will become 0 for a single cycle. Similarly, if we accumulate all the each cycle value, the integral value for each cycle value will become 0. So the total value will become 0. So the second term is becoming 0 here. So because it is a very high frequency, and we are having only a first term, so that is equal to integral of minus infinity to plus infinity 1 by 2 a square of t dt. And this 1 by 2 a square of dt is nothing but the energy of SL of t. Energy of SL of t. We can write this is equal to 1 by 2 integral minus into plus infinity a square of t dt, and this a square of t dt is nothing but energy of SL of t. So we can say that the energy of S of t is equal to half the energy of SL of t. So now the energy of S of t is related to energy of SL of t signal. So next our aim is to construct a low pass signal from the band pass signal by using this energy relation. So now we consider that the band pass signal is having a band pass channel. Response is given by h of t is h of t. If we take the Fourier transform of this h of t, so h of t, if we take a Fourier transform, then it is represented as h of f. So now we are having h of f. Now this h of f is represented like this. Since it is a band pass channel, this h of f is represented like this. So now what is our aim is to construct a low pass channel from the band pass channel. So the band pass channel response is here. So now it is centered at Fc. We have to construct a low pass channel. So what we have to do is we have to move this response which is centered at 0. So for this we are going to use the property of conjugate symmetry. That means the value at f, that is h of f, is equal to h of conjugate of minus f. What is the meaning of this equation is the value at f in the response is equal to the value at minus f conjugate of the value at minus f. Both are equal to one another. So now using this relationship we are going to transform this signal which is present at f greater than 0 is moved to f is equal to 0. So now for this, first it is again multiplied with the unit step function. So now we are having a unit step function u of f. Now we are going to get a new function h plus of f that is equal to h of f into u of f. So we are getting a response when only at f greater than 0. So this is h plus of f. So h plus of f is equal to h of f into u of f. So we can write this is h plus of f. We can write that is equal to h of f when f greater than 0 and it is equal to 0 when f less than 0. So now h plus of f is related to h of f. So this is our h of f and this is h plus of f. What is our h plus of f value? H plus of f is equal to h of f when f greater than 0 and it is equal to 0 when f less than 0. Now our aim is to construct HL of f. So HL of f means we have to move this response to 0 frequency. So our HL of f should be here. HL of f. So we have to move this response to f0. So now for this it can be obtained as HL of f is equal to h plus f plus fc. H plus f plus fc, and in time domain it can be represented as HL of t is equal to h plus t e power minus j 2 pi fct. So now HL of f we can write HL of F minus FC is equal to H plus of F. So from this relation we can write HL of F is equal to H plus F plus FC. So we can write HL of F minus FC is equal to H plus of F. Already we know that H plus of F is equal to H of F for F greater than 0 and is equal to 0 when F less than 0. That is applicable for HL of F minus FC also. F minus FC also. So now we can write now we are having the low frequency response. So now we can write H of F. So H of F is equal to HL of F minus FC. So now we can obtain H of F from HL of F. So H of F can be obtained from HL of F minus FC because HL of F minus FC is having the response when F greater than 0, and if we take the conjugate value of this HL of F minus FC, then it is having the value at F less than 0 also. By adding these two, we will be getting our H of F. So H of F is equal to HL of F minus FC plus HL conjugate of minus F minus FC. So now if we add these two components, then we can get our original channel response H of F. So if in the time domain, it can be represented as H of t is equal to HL of t e power j 2 pi fct, and HL conjugate of minus F minus Fc is again equal to HL of t e power j 2 pi fct. So H of t we can write it is 2 into real part of HL of t e power j 2 pi fct. So now the bandpass channel is represented in terms of the low pass equivalent channel response. So similarly we can write the all other signals, that is S of t and received signal R of t. So S of t we know that it is equal to real part of SL of t cos e power j 2 pi fct, and R of t, the received signal, is real part of RL of t e power j 2 pi fct, and H of t, the channel response, is equal to 2 into real part of HL of t e power j 2 pi fct. So now in the frequency domain, the received signal can be represented as R of F is equal to S of F, that is the transmitted signal, into H of F. So R of F is equal to, and S of F and H of F can be represented in terms of the low frequency component. So S of F is equal to energy of S of F is equal to 1 by 2 energy of the low frequency component. So it can be written as S 1 by 2 into SL of F minus Fc plus SL of conjugate of minus F minus Fc into HL of F minus Fc plus HL conjugate of minus F minus Fc. Now R of F is equal to 1 by 2 SL of F minus Fc. So here SL of F minus Fc is equal to 0 when F less than 0. From the frequency spectrum we know this already. SL of F minus Fc is equal to 0 when F less than 0. Similarly HL of F minus Fc is equal to 0 when F less than 0, because SL of F minus Fc will be like this only. This is SL of F minus Fc. So it is having the value only F greater than 0. When F less than 0, it is 0. Similarly, HL of f minus fc is having the value when f greater than 0 and it is 0 when f less than 0. Similarly, if we take SL conjugate of minus f minus fc is equal to 0 when f greater than 0 and HL conjugate of minus f minus fc is equal to 0 when f greater than 0. So that means the conjugate value. So if we take this one SL of f minus f minus fc, conjugate value means it is having a response only when f less than 0. When f greater than 0 it is 0. So now in the R of f we are having both the components. So if we multiply both the components then we will be getting that only two components, resultant components will be getting. One is SL of f minus fc multiplied with HL of f minus fc and another component is SL conjugate of minus f minus fc into HL conjugate of minus f minus fc. The other two components will become 0. So that is equal to R of f is equal to 1. This is 1 by 2 SL of f minus fc, HL of f minus fc, that is equal to RL of f. RL of f minus fc and plus SL conjugate of minus f minus fc into HL conjugate of minus f minus fc is equal to RL conjugate of minus f minus fc. So we are having R of f, the received signal in frequency domain is equal to 1 by 2 RL of f minus fc plus RL conjugate of minus f minus fc. That means the band pass signal is represented in terms of the low pass equivalent signal. So we can, all the analysis can be done in the low pass and then it can be represented in terms of the band pass signal so that the system will become cheaper, because if you go for high frequency systems automatically it becomes very much costlier and becomes complex. So that is why we are going for conversion from band pass to baseband signal, and this is our received signal R of f. And simply we can write R of f is equal to S of f into H of f. So now we can represent the baseband equivalent system using all these relations. So normally in the band pass transmission we will be having a signal S of t and through the channel H of t it is transmitted and in the receiver side it is received as R of t. This is the actual band pass transmission. So instead of transmission through the band pass channel like this, in order to reduce the cost and complexity, we are going for low pass equivalent and we are getting SL of t, and this is obtained by using the down conversion process. So now we are having SL of t and we can construct a low pass channel HL of t, and this is also low pass equivalent of H of t, and this HL of t produces RL of t. So this RL of t is again low pass equivalent, and from RL of t we can get R of t by using the up conversion process. So this system is said to be a low pass equivalent system for the band pass signal. So far we have seen what are the basic things available in the digital communication systems, and in the modulation process how the signal is transmitted by relating baseband and the band pass signal, and how to construct the band pass signal, baseband signal from the band pass signal, and how to construct the low pass equivalent channel from the band pass channel, and how they are related to one another.